Who took a cup of coffee this morning before starting out their day? I know I did. That caffeine, it gives us a sense of energy, it gets us out of bed, and it gets us ready for what the day has in store for us. Drugs like caffeine are everywhere and all around us, and they're called psychoactive drugs. However, no, I'm not just talking about your doctor prescribed drugs or the illegally used drugs. I'm talking about the drugs that we use on an everyday basis. I'm talking about your cup of coffee in the morning, maybe two. I'm talking about your 2 pills of Advil you take when you have a headache. And I'm talking about your late night drinks with your family members on a Saturday night watching the game. These drugs are used illegally and legally, and according to the CDC, about 48% of the United States population admit to using one prescribed drug per year. So, what are psychoactive drugs? Psychoactive drugs are drugs that alter your mood, your behavior, your cognition, your perception, and your consciousness. So today I want to talk to you guys about the 4 different types of psychoactive drugs, which are stimulants, depressants, opioids, also known as narcotics, and hallucinogens. The first one I'm going to talk about are stimulants. Stimulants stimulate your brain and your central nervous system to make you feel more energetic. They elevate your mood. They affect your alertness. They increase motor activity and decrease appetite. In fact, the most used psychoactive drug is a stimulant and is caffeine. According to statistics, people from the age of 30 and 39 admit to drinking at least 2 cups of coffee per day. Other different types of stimulants are nicotine, steroids, and Adderall. And stimulants are used to treat people with ADHD and narcolepsy. And all these drugs are just make you feel more energetic and get you up in their own way. And just like there's drugs that do that, there's drugs that do the complete opposite, and they're called depressants. Depressants are lower down your neurotransmitter levels, whereas stimulants heightens them. They lower down brain activity so they can really treat people with anxiety disorders, sleeping disorders, and people with acute stress reactions. Actually, the most famous depressant is actually alcohol, and what alcohol does is it lowers down the functioning of your body cells until they are less efficient. Other examples of depressants are sleeping pills, Xanax, and barbiturates. And there's actually people who use depressants in a type of way to relieve pain, but in reality, the real painkillers are the opioids. Opioids are drugs that basically just relieve pain. They are worldwide painkillers. However, even if they are just meant to relieve pain, there are drugs that are more efficient than others. For example, ibuprofen is way less efficient. Is less efficient than morphine. What I mean by this is that ibuprofen can be used to treat mild pain, whereas morphine is mostly likely to be used to treat more severe pain, like maybe after surgery or something. So this leads us to our last psychoactive drugs, which are hallucinogens. Hallucinogens, it's like what the name suggests is that there are drugs that makes us hallucinate. It affects our awareness and of our surroundings. It makes us delusional and stuff. There are basically two types of hallucinogens, which are synthetic and natural. Synthetic hallucinogens are just hallucinogens that are made via chemical, whereas natural hallucinogens are just found naturally. Hallucinogens is home of probably the most controversial drug and probably the most famous drug out there, which is cannabis. Studies st- study shows that over 94 million people in the United States have admitted to using cannabis at least once. So to conclude, what are psychoactive drugs? Remember, these are drugs that affect your behavior, your consciousness, your perception, and your cognition. So hopefully, and they all affect our brain in their own special way. So hopefully, we learn a thing or two about psychoactive drugs and how they treat mental disorders, or just to wake us up from a long night's sleep.